City, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes, and back then we only gave what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads, and out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, Southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Live.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means, we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geekies. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, title town license. Winners, pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's Thursday night. Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I am your host, Larry Godwin. Well refreshed. Well, who am I kidding? Man, I had this canned intro to do tonight about how refreshed I am, how rested. You look so youthful. But who am I kidding? I'm middle-aged. I work too hard, and I'm just worn out. Just like the rest of you, right? Just like the rest of you. But anyway, it's Thursday night. 7 o'clock, you guys have been conditioned to know when that music plays, it's just a few minutes away from Viking glory. We should call it Viking paradise. We should call this show Valhalla Rising. What about that instead of the Viking Nation Live? Because be on the lookout. Them Vikings is going to be hell this year. I'm just telling you. Y'all please forgive me for using that language. Hardly ever do that, but I thought it was appropriate. Well, anyway, welcome to the 229, the Viking Nation Live. Like the words of that song say, some folks just don't understand what it means to live in Wintersville. This is Titletown, baby. And it's Thursday night, and we get to spend the next hour plus talking about our favorite topic, and that's Lowndes Athletics, Lowndes football. And we're going to have a former super fan back on the show tonight. He's going to be calling in, getting his feet wet again. You know, he's been raising a newborn child. He's got a new family. You guys know him as our one and only Cole Moore. He's going to be calling in a few minutes, catching us up on what daddy life is going to be all about and giving us a kind of a sneak peek preview of what's happening in Region 16A. You guys know Cole, and we welcome him back to the program tonight. So he's going to be calling in about 7:10-ish, something like that. So we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Let me go ahead and cover some of this stuff. It really has been a very, very busy week. I want to go ahead and remind you guys of a couple of things real fast. And if you're a sponsor watching tonight, be patient. I'm going to get the sponsorship stuff up in a second. But Cole's getting ready to call in a few minutes, and I want to get some of these announcements covered real quick. Did you guys know that it is 38 days until kickoff? Now, if you kick off on a Friday night, it's 37 days. But Lowndes is kicking off on a Saturday afternoon this year, August 19th, 38 days. Another way to put that would be 3,283,200 seconds until kickoff. That's how excited we are. Something else that reminds us about what time of the year it is. I believe, I think this is right, Georgia Bridgman Bridgie Camp kicked off today, I believe. And so when the Georgia Bridgman get into high gear, and they start high stepping and the tuba's kicked in and they're learning the new routine for this year, you guys know it's not far now, right? Not far now. So let me go ahead and remind you, the reason why I have the season ticket information on the screen is, guys, if you're a Lowndes fan and if you had season tickets last year and you have any intention of renewing, next Friday is your deadline. Next Friday is your deadline. Renewals until July 21st. Then shortly after that, upgrades begin on July 24th, and the 25th, I believe, is a Tuesday. It goes on sale to the general public. So if you haven't renewed your season tickets like me, you got until next Friday to do that. And Owen, don't worry, hold my tickets. I will be up there by next Friday to make sure I get my season tickets. Robert Lynn says, got season tickets today. He's ready, and go Vikings. Uh-oh. Keith Blaylock says, don't hold back, Cole. Don't hold back. Listen, I'm seeing some guys that were regulars on the show when Cole was on the show a pretty good bit, and they kind of faded away. And now that Cole's coming back to the show, some of these guys are coming back, like Ben Beam up in Warner Robins. You got Keith Blaylock, Kenneth Hurst. Well, I think Kenneth's been with us for a while. And I suspect there's a lot of Cole maniacs out there that are tuning in for Cole's segment in a few minutes. So you guys also know this is a new segment I've started on the show, and that is, do you know what time it is? It's time for the quote of the day. This is LG's version of Motivational Monday, except on a Thursday night. So it's my quote of the day. And here's the quote of the day. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, and this is key, love of what you're doing. Whether you play football for the Lowndes Vikings, you absolutely have to love what you're doing. Why in the world would you put in all those hours if you just don't love it? Why in the world would you go to work every single day and bust your hump for your family if you just don't love what you do? So a lot of this stuff happens. A lot of this stuff is important, such as hard work, perseverance. You got to learn, studying. You got to sacrifice, but most of all, you got to love what you do. You just got to love what you do. And that's LG's quote of the day. Hey, a couple more things. Congrats to Cray Lott, drafted by the Baltimore Orioles. Man, what kind of feeling is that for that young man? To win a state baseball championship for the Lowndes Vikings and then to be drafted in the Major League Baseball draft by the Baltimore Orioles? Oh my, it doesn't get any better than that if you're a high school baseball player, does it? And also congratulations to Tate Sermons on his verbal commit to Ole Miss. Tate is heading to the Grove out there. So I don't know what it means when you say hotty toddy, but apparently if you're an Ole Miss fan, you know exactly what that means. Let's go to the phone line. Hey, caller, welcome to the Viking Nation Live. What's on your mind? Uh-oh. Hold on, Cole. I got the wrong cord plugged in. Cole, are you with me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much better.
I sound like the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now? Oh, he's Sprint now.
Absolutely.
Sprint now.
I can hear you perfectly clear now. That was my fault, man. Had the wrong cable plugged into the phone set there. Hey, listen, dude. Welcome back to the program, man.
Feels good, man. Hey, man, we're so close to Friday night football, right? I mean, we're getting close.
Gosh, yes.
We're getting close, and there's a lot of excitement in the air, right? I mean, we this is what we, us high school football maniacs, this is what we, this is what we wait, and it's almost here, man. There's a lot of excitement around a bunch of programs.
This is what we do, Cole. This is what we live for right here. This time of the year, it almost feels like the couple of weeks leading up to Christmas. It's almost that same feeling, right, Cole? You're getting ready to unwrap the gifts, and the anticipation is killing us.
Yes, I mean, we it's what we do. We talk about high school football, and we just talk, and it's all talk right now. But dude, in just a month and a few days, all the talking goes away. And I can't wait for cleat to meet pigskin, so to speak.
I hear you, man. Listen, about this time last year, you and I were talking about Thomas County Central, and because y'all had just gotten a new head coach, Justin Rogers, over there, and
y'all laughed at me.
I did. Listen, I confess. And when you were saying you were selling Justin Rogers, and I always knew Justin Rogers was a good coach, but you were selling hard that he is going to turn this program around very, very quickly, and nobody was buying it, Cole, but you did.
Yeah, I even remember the time frame. I had just left a booster meeting to a meeting, Mr. Justin Rogers, and you told me give me 3 minutes, and that's crazy how I remember these things. When I end up being right.
Yeah.
You gave me 3 minutes to sell you, and you said I'll pass on the sale.
I remember we called it the hot seat.
Yeah, the hot seat. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and so you sold us on it, and TCC had a fantastic season. Now, you thought that they were going to have a good season, but I don't even think you predicted that they were going to win the region.
No, I don't think nobody did, right? And that's a tough region to come in. I mean, you're looking at a team that couldn't compete in 4A, and then you turn around and go jump 2 classifications, and now you're sitting there in 6A.
Right.
I was thinking, man, if we get the 4th seed, that's a good year. If we get a 3rd seed, that's a great year. I just, trying to get Justin Rogers' feet wet. And dude, when they gelled early in the season,
yeah,
it just took off. It took off. Those kids believed in what the coaching staff was preaching.
Yeah.
And man, they just took off.
Well, listen, one of our commenters on the White Oak Investment comment line, Coach Trainer, he says although he's the premise behind his comment is although TCC had a great season last year, it ain't last year anymore. He says, this is his quote, TCC will meet reality this season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he means that in the most positive way. So now Cole, you got to admit there probably are a lot of people that are in that same camp. Like, okay, Justin Rogers had a lot of excitement, had Sam Brown as a quarterback, had a very experienced team. Some people even claim that Ashley Henderson had the program primed for Justin Rogers. So of course you had that system, but now this season you're going to have to replace your quarterback. People know that TCC is not going to sneak up on them. So they're not giving the props to TCC this year. What say you?
Oh, well, hey, we got everybody talks about Sam Brown, a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But if you don't think Thomas County Central doesn't have an ace in their sleeve, we got a very talented young quarterback that is just ask some of the Colquitt County coaches in 7-on-7, and they gave that team props. And they're going to be fine. Central's not going anywhere. Loaded on the defensive side of the ball. We can talk about Cam Brooks, just offers everywhere on the table. Then you got 4-star athlete Kadarius Reddick, Trey Brenton, over 1,000-yard rusher. Central's going to be fine. If you want to believe that, hey, that's cool.
Now, let me ask you something specifically about last year heading into this year. Last year, TCC had a great season, but they played like a championship destined team for the first half against, I can't remember who it was in their last game of the playoffs. Roswell, that's right. And it looked like they were dominating that game. Then the second half was a tale of two halves, and Roswell came storming back. And it was a kind of a disappointing ending to TCC's Cinderella season. Is that fueling TCC, or are they still going to suffer a hangover from that, or what's going to happen?
I think it's motivating those kids, right? I mean, you know, you did so well all year, and Central really never faced adversity all year. I mean, you could say Lee County, but even in the Lee County or the North Side game, which I thought they had control pretty much the whole game, you start talking about those games, I just felt like Central had control, and just a couple bad turnovers was very uncharacteristic from that Thomas County Central team.
Right.
Man, it was like a snowball. I mean, you had the interception, and then you had the fumble on the kickoff return, and it was just like that. I think LG within 60 seconds. Within a minute, Roswell put 14 points on the board. And when you give teams like that in the quarterfinals, they're good football teams.
Yeah.
When you give teams touchdowns like that, it will haunt you. And you really gave Roswell momentum.
Yeah.
We felt good going in halftime. I mean, I think I've talked to you about that. But yeah, and it's another thing, you know, this team learning how to win, everything went great. Now they faced adversity, and that's going to help a lot of the younger talent moving forward that are going to play this year. I mean, so I feel good about Thomas County Central. I think they're a front runner in Region 1-6A again.
Yeah. So let's talk about Region 1-6A. Now we're a few weeks away from kickoff. If you had to rank the teams in Region 1-6A, I know it's early, it's premature, and it's probably unfair to ask you to do this, but hey, that's what we do in the show. So I'm going to ask you, how would you rank the teams in a preseason rank if you had to? I'm not going to hold you this because it's impossible to know how good these teams are yet. But what's your gut tell you? How would you rank these teams top to bottom?
Well, I'm glad you asked me this and not 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah,
because Lake County did get some transfers in.
Oh boy.
So I would have said, you know, Lee County third. I really do. I mean, but I'm gonna be biased on the number 1 seed. I'm gonna go Thomas County Central.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go Lee County 2. I'm gonna go Houston 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. Man, it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go Northside 4, Tift County 5th, and I think 4 or 5. I'm telling you, I think 4 or 5 could be switched.
Okay.
Veterans is I just think Veterans is a little whiles away.
Yeah.
And why I say Tift County at 5, could be at 4. They were young. You know, you get your transfer quarterback and Chris Martin in.
Yeah.
You got some younger talents with some offers on the table, but we'll see about Tift County. I still think they're undersized on the line, but I still believe, dude, Region 1 is top heavy, really. I mean, 1 through 3, you can go. I mean, you're talking about Houston County, Lee, Thomas County Central. All 3 going to be really good football teams. Houston's returning a lot. A lot of people are just not talking about them.
Sure.
But they're returning a lot too. Really good quarterback, 4-star quarterback. I mean, sky's the limit for that kid over there. So it's going to be a really fun year. We thought it was fun last year, right? Now everybody has woken up to Thomas County Central.
Yeah. So listen, let me ask you something. I call it the GRE, the Justin Rogers effect. So he comes in there, he has a tremendous immediate impact on that program. Correct. So I got to think that if he's worth the salt, and I believe that he is, that he's parlayed that that excitement, that community excitement, into building up the booster club membership, getting a lot of kids to come out where they weren't coming out before for TCC football. What's the Justin Rogers effect been around Thomas County?
Well, let me just put it this way: over 170 kids came out for spring ball.
170 kids. Woo.
Over 170 kids come out for spring ball, 9 through 12. That is 9 through 12, but that is a huge number.
Yeah.
For any school, much less a school. We're talking about Thomas County. There's two teams in this town now. It's Thomasville and Thomas County. So that's massive numbers coming out of this program. Brother, it's simple. Thomas County Central. Let me run some numbers by you as I was getting ready to come on. You know, it's a number that I said last year. First winning season since when? 2016. Wow, that's a long time, ain't it? First home game in the playoffs since 2016. So I want to run that by you, and also this number. Justin Rogers as a head football coach and there's naysayers with any head coach.
Yeah.
Coach Rogers from Jones County, Colquitt, and now Thomas County, he has a combined record of 83 wins and 23 losses.
Nice.
Pretty good record.
Yeah.
So the excitement is there. And I think, you know, he's trying to build a state perennial powerhouse. And how do you do that, LG? Lowndes fans know it. Austin knows it. Consistency. Win, win, win. What did Al Davis used to say? Just win, baby.
Just win,
all
baby.
You got to do. Just win. And winning breeds confidence, and that's what brung you're talking about over 170. I'm talking about over 170 kids. What brings that out?
Yeah.
Winning does. Kids don't want to play for losers.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's right.
I mean, we all want to win. That's why we go out. Justin Rogers really has just set this, you know, Thomasville, Thomas County really has set this town on fire and says, hey, look, we're not fitting to be ran over no more.
You know,
we're here.
Cole, you know what I would love to see? So this upcoming season is the last year of the old classification where 7 classes. So starting next year, we're going to go back to 6 classes. That also means a new 2-year scheduling cycle. I would love to see Lowndes and Thomas County Central do a home and home. That would be awesome to see.
I'd love it, honestly. You know, we Thomas County has scheduled in years past with Valdosta. You know, they did a 2-year deal with Valdosta,
right?
And they had some pretty good games in that one. I'd love to see. You know, regardless if Central moves, which I believe they will drop to 5A. They do have very low, you know, they're low numbers in 6A.
Yeah,
but either way, you know, tough schedule. I'm a big fan of tough schedules.
Yeah. So
if I play a tough non-region schedule, when region play comes, I'm ready for anything.
I'm expecting TCC to go down to 5A. I'm expecting your old Tift County Blue Devils to rejoin our region in the new 1-6A.
Yeah, Tift County will be in. They'll be back. They'll be back with the old. They'll be back with their old. What do I say? Their evil brothers.
Yeah. So Keith Blaylock's put this on the comment, the White Oak Investment comment line a couple times. And the premise behind his comment, and he really wants to know, is Cole Moore still considered a Tift County super fan?
No, probably not. There, some Tift County fans, some boosters, I'm still cool with, but you know, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I got you. Okay,
know,
fair enough.
I thought, you know, there's some ill will towards between Tift County and me. I mean, that's just.
We'll just leave it at that.
I don't want to say more, but I mean, you know, I still, you know what, you know, I still want them to win. You know, I did play for them. You know, I do want that is when you, no matter how bad your heart or how bad your feelings are hurt or whatever they do to you, if you play for Berrien.
That's right.
You know, you put your blood, sweat, tears, your body on the line for that program, for that city, for that town. You put them colors on, and and you gave it all you had. I do still want to see them do well.
Absolutely.
But I live here, and I am a supporter, and you know this as well as anybody because we're close friends. Whatever I do or however I support, I go all in.
That's right.
So and that's the only way to be. But yeah, I do wish them well. Just not when they play Central. I know that's hard, but
yeah, I don't know why, but as soon as you said what you just said, the old Bryan Adams song, "Whatever I do it for you," came flooding through my brain. So I don't know why that is, Cole.
Well, we're on two different generations. I'll have to listen to that song when I get off the phone. But hey, you know what? I'll listen to it and I will send you a text because now my wife, she's an old soul. Yeah. She likes to listen to all that old stuff. Not me, I like a little motivation, little pump,
Well, listen, this is a little LG extra marital counseling, right? So I know you and your wife, Lauren, are younger than I am. So, but one of the all-time great movies, in my opinion, as far as chick flick goes, is Robin Hood with Kevin Costner in it. You and your wife need to rent that movie. It'll get you in your feels, and you'll hear that Bryan Adams song. So anyway.
Yeah, I never watched Robin Hood either. But hey, man, whatever. Yes, my wife makes me sit down and watch all these chick flicks that I've never cared to watch before. So yeah, I am definitely getting better at that.
Absolutely. Hey, last thing is this is for Lauren as she's listening in the background. Lauren, one of the cool things about football season is right around the corner, it's almost Hallmark movie season, Hallmark Christmas movie season.
Stop. Now, why'd you have to do that?
We'll leave it on that note, Cole.
All right, man. I really appreciate you having me on, man. I love talking high school football with everybody, and y'all have a great night.
See you, man. Bye-bye. Look at Cole Moore bringing the receipts tonight, talking up his Thomas County Central. Yeah, listen, I almost made like the cardinal sin. I almost said his Thomas County Central Bulldogs. No. That would be a major mistake. That would be like saying the Lowndes High Wildcats. No. The Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets. Let's get that right. The Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets. Jose Oliva, let's see. He's got, where's my mouse? There we go. He's got a question. He says, are football tickets on sale yet? Jose, I'm assuming you're asking about Lowndes tickets. I'll put this back on the screen. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so season tickets are currently on sale right now as to be renewed. So if you had season tickets last year, then you have the right to go and renew those same seats until next Friday. Then after that, if you're not renewing, then your day to get season tickets would be the following Tuesday on the 25th, July 25th. Okay, so if you don't want to buy season tickets, then if you just want to buy individual game tickets, then you just have to wait the week of the game, and then they sell those individual game tickets, pre-sales ahead of time at the ticket office at the Board of Education. I hope that helps with your question. So in a couple of minutes, we're going to have Fred Mitchell calling in, and he is the Lowndes college recruiting coordinator. And so he and I had a chance to catch up over the last couple of days. Oh my gosh, Greg Maddox, you're killing me, man. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Yeah, Greg, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It would be like saying the Cook County Rebels, right? The Cook County. I like the sound of that. What if Berrien and Cook merged those two counties together and adopted the team, the Berrien High Hornets or the Cook County Rebels? You think we could win a couple of games with the talent pool over those two counties? I think so. But that ain't never going to happen. And go Big Red. All right. So So Fred Mitchell is going to be joining us in a few minutes here, and we're going to be talking about what they've been up to over the summer. Greg says that's worse. Greg, I get it, man. I know where you stand. You know where I stand when it comes to that rivalry. But fortunately, you and I now are Lowndes Vikings, and we have that common denominator. And so we've called a truce, and we're on the same program now. You got that right, LG. The Yellow Jackets. Absolutely, Kenneth. So anyway, we're going to have Fred Mitchell on. He's going to be catching us up on what the Vikings have been doing all summer long. He's gotten me excited. He really has. And then last week we had the dead week where no team in the state did anything. So they returned back to practice this week with a fury. And so there's some good stuff happening all over the Lowndes campus. So Fred's going to catch us up on that. And then the next 3 weeks, we're going to have different Lowndes assistant coaches onto the show and talk about their position groups and what they expect and get to know them, their backgrounds, their experience, that kind of stuff. So all that is going to be so cool. Okay. Robert Lindsay says, what's the word on how our Vikings are looking? Robert, stay tuned for this phone call. Hey, caller, welcome to the Viking Nation Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. LG, this is Coach Fred. How you doing?
Coach Fred, the man of the hour. We were just talking about you. One of our fans, Robert Lindsay, says, what's the word on how our Vikings are looking? I said, Robert, we got a guy that's calling in tonight. And he's going to give us a little preview, a little sneak peek behind the curtain to let us know how those Vikings are doing. So I appreciate you calling into the program. Listen, you guys, along with all the coaches, have had a very, very busy summer, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's been busy. It's, when we came back off our first day of week in June, June was a very busy month for us. We had 3 7-on-7s and an OTA and things like that. So it was a very busy month of June.
That's right. So let's talk about the 7-on-7. So if I recall right, you may have had more, but if I recall right, you had 3 prominent ones at least. Two of them were in Gainesville, where you were runner-up in one, and then you went back for another 7-on-7 down there, where you were in the quarterfinals, and then you went back to you went to Jacksonville and became champs over there.
Correct. The one that our first one down at University of Florida at Jacksonville was our first 7-on-7. That's the one we made it all the way to the championship and came up short, even though we won it 3 times. There was some questionable calls there at the end with no time on the clock, and but we had a really good showing for our first one. And was, extremely proud of the boys and even the coaches that win and how well they were prepared and things like that. And then we went back that following week, and finished up in the quarterfinals again, another good showing. And then, like you said, went down to Jacksonville and started 0-2 on that day in the heat and found a way to win it. Went on a 5-game win streak and won it.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. So it sounds like now this is me reading into what you're saying and the experiences that the guys had at these 7-on-7s. Would it be a stretch for me to say that the passing game is really starting to come along? Am I safe to say that?
We have made some strides. It's still working on some things, but that's what those 7-on-7s are for.
That's right.
It's for those wide receivers. It's for the quarterback wide receivers to work on their on timing and things like that, and even for the DBs and stuff as well. For DBs, that's one of the hardest things to do is playing the 7-on-7.
That's right.
With the coverages and stuff like that, you don't have a D-line out there that's putting pressure on the quarterback. So I know everybody is wondering about the pass game, and August 11th, we scrimmage against Tiff, and then we'll have our first game on August 19th. And I don't want to give away too much, but you'll be able to see.
Listen, man, just between us, and we're going to pretend like no one else is watching or listening to our conversation right now. That was the best non-answer answer I've ever heard.
I have learned from a very well source as far as how to do these things. So
I understand. You were a very seasoned professional when it comes to interviews. I get it, man. Now, but on a more serious note, that's the 7-on-7s, building up and practicing and getting better at the skill positions. But the OTAs are involving the entire team, like the trench guys, like the offensive and defensive linemen. What's that group looking like in the OTAs?
Again, man, they've had a very solid summer. The boys are handling it well.
Yeah.
With new systems and installs and things like that in place. And, we do have an OTA coming up next week on Monday and Tuesday. Be our last one, of course, where you get to put the shoulder pads on and just match up against other teams. But, the boys have been doing well.
I got you.
They have, and, I'm proud of them and things like that.
I got you. Okay. So we talked about the OTAs. We've talked about the 7-on-7s. There was a couple more things I wanted to talk to you about. Let me see. I sent you a whole list of them. Okay. So you just come back from some dead week. What is the focus on now? Because as well as I know, from now until the start of the season, it's like a sprint. So what are you guys working on now that you're back from the dead week?
It is. And, this year, a little different, it seems like. I feel like school is, before you know it, people are going to, these kids will start going back to school in the end of July, just because it's right around the corner. So you really, you look at it, we have a scrimmage on August 11th, and today is the 13th?
That's right.
14th. So technically we're less than a month away from lining up against another team and seeing, real game action. So you're looking at, you're looking at 3 weeks to get ready, 4 weeks before the next, for the first official game. So when you come back off of that July dead week, there is no more vacation. You'll have your bye weeks, but you'll still, practice a few days out of that week. So from here until December, because that's the goal, is to make it to December, that last game in December. So
right.
from here on out, it's go time. And that's what, July, you're coming back off that dead week, you're really fine tuning your installs, and getting ready for game prep and breaking down film on your other team that you're going to go up against.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there going to be, different coaches like to do it differently, but as the season rolls around, that first scrimmage is against Tiff County, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So before then, is there going to be like a Meet the Vikings day or like a press media day? Or I have to ask that because it is a new coaching staff. And so have y'all thought about that? What's the plan there, if any?
I know Coach Carter and I have had some discussions and stuff as far as that goes. Of course, we are big into social media. So if that's something that we're doing, and I'm having a hard time thinking right now with our calendar.
Okay.
I believe there's something, but don't quote me on that.
Gotcha.
I do believe there's something, but don't quote me on that. But we will definitely post it, put out a graphic, all that type of stuff, to get the community out, things like that.
Gotcha. Well, speaking about getting the news out, you wanted to talk a little bit about the Plowboy tournament that's coming up, which is a major fundraiser for the football program.
Yes, it is. We have whole sponsorships are until tomorrow, so we have one more day. So those that are interested, definitely get in contact with us for sponsoring the whole. We've had over the past few years, that's been a really big deal. I've heard nothing but but good things about it. It's a 2-day tournament.
Yeah.
I was told, so it's pretty serious and a lot on the line. So, this will be our first year, out there, and I'll be out there mingling and things like that. I will not be playing in it. My golf game is not advanced enough for this one. But I'll be out there and mingling and talking with the community and the sponsors and things like that.
Fred, I'm right there with you. I'm a big golfer, but I have never played in that Plowboy tournament, mainly because, and this is really the only reason, is I don't take golf that seriously, and that is a serious tournament. But there's a lot of serious golfers in this community, guys, and there's usually a pretty long prize list. It's usually a really, really good prize set, isn't it?
There is, there are some serious golfers on this coaching staff too.
Oh yeah,
Coach Reese and Coach McCullough, Coach Sellers. I've got a chance to play with Coach Anders, so that is something that we take pride in as well too. But when they started telling me about this Plowboy, I said I'll sit this one out.
Well, who's the better golfer between you and some of the other assistants? You Coach at least got to give me a straight answer for that one.
Coach McCullough is hot right now. I don't know what he is doing or what adjustments he has made to his golf game, but I think one of the low rounds I played with him, I think he shot like a 74 or 75 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's been consistently in the 70s. So, I don't know what's going on with him or his clubs or what he's got going on, but he is the hottest one on our coaching tour right now.
Fred, you got yourself in trouble. So there's a comment that has come across the White Oak Investment comment line. It's from none other than Molly Carter. She says, Coach Reese is going to be mad at you for that, Fred.
I know it. Coach Reese is probably the most competitive golfer, and the most competitive one. And me and Coach Reese have been playing golf with each other for the past 4.5 years, 5 years. And like I said, I mean, I over the past 2 months, Coach McCullough has been just lights out hot. None of us can beat him or anything like that. So,
hey, Fred, before I let you go, I do have one other serious question for you. And that is, the last time you were on, we talked about the focus that you guys, specifically you and Coach Carter, have put on the college recruiting efforts there at Lowndes High School. Yeah. And it was impressive, the list that you sent me and all the offers and all the players that's on the list. So talk about some of the things that some of the other kids that have gotten offers since then. I mean, there was a lot of them, like Jakari Fleming with 12 offers, Keelan Hicks, I'm sorry, Grant Lasky, Daniel Jones, Romeo Hampton, O'Shea Brooks, Anthony Carter, Marlon Evans, Marvis Parrish, Aiden Sifa, Jalen Carter, Cameron Jackson, Aleem Brown, Coleman Lewis, Trey Thomas, and Ben Corey.
Yes, sir. It's been impressive. When we came in January, and I actually started February 1st on signing day.
Yeah.
Just kind of really coming down. I think it was a total of 3 kids on the team that had offers. And we hit the ground running on that because there's a lot of talent that's down here.
I got you.
And it was just kind of the exposure thing and the relationship that we've built. So, you look at Marvis, I think when we made that list, he had a couple of offers and then he's picked up a few more since camps have started. So it's been good. It's been really good, but there's a lot more to go. We have 2 that's committed, the offensive tackle, Daniel Jones, and our tight end, Grant Lasky, have both went ahead and solidified their commitment to play at the next level. And then we'll have Jakari Smoke, will be probably one of the next ones up, and the defensive back, Ant Carter, and you have O'Shea. So just really trying to knock out these 24s and find them a home is really my focus with everybody on the team. But, those are the ones that are next up. And, we're proud of the work, but there's so much more to be done.
That's right. And so, Coach, finally, when it comes to these recruiting offers, I'm just trying to get the folks that are just joining us now. We've got Coach Fred Mitchell. He's the Lowndes College recruiting coordinator, among other duties there at the Lowndes football program. Coach, they may not know the modern day process of college football recruiting. A lot of these offers occur when these kids attend these camps, right? Whether it's a lineman camp or a wide receiver, a skills camp, whatever. How big of a focus is for our kids attending these camps there at Lowndes football now?
So it is, and it used to be that way.
Okay.
Larry, I'll be honest with you. It used to be that way. If you look at it, a lot of our kids receive those offers during spring ball.
Okay.
Where the coaches were able to come out and evaluate them, whether it was in the weight room or at practice or and things like that, where they were able to see their size, see how they move, see how attentive they are, and what type of teammate they are. So we had a lot of them that transpired during spring ball.
Gotcha.
Or during the open period where they were able to come out to campus and things like that. But the biggest part with the camps is that's how you get your offers to stick, where they're committable, if that makes sense.
Yep.
If a school offers you, they're pretty much going to tell you, hey, we want you to come on campus, come and see the campus, work out for us a little bit. They want to see how you move around. You got to think, a lot of the position coaches are offering these kids when they come out to the school, then they go and report back to, their school and have recruiting meetings. And let's say a wide receiver coach offers Ant Carter, which is our DB coach. And then he goes back and they have a staff meeting with recruiting, and he tells the DB coach, hey, I offered this kid. I watched him. He's legit. They'll show the film and things like that. And then that DB coach might reach out to me or and say that we want to get Ant Carter up on campus so I could personally work with him and check off on him.
I got you.
Or the head coach might need to check off on him and things like that. So the process is a little different and it's ever changing. I will say that this time next year, it's not going to be the same. As far as how the process works and operates, and NIL plays a big part in it and all of that stuff. So
Gotcha. Listen, keep up the great work out there at the Lowndes football program. Now I am developing, I don't know if you heard me, the previous interview that I had with a caller, a super fan over in TCC. They've got a new head coach over there. This is his second year, named Justin Rogers. I call it the Justin Rogers effect, but I think something similar is happening at Lowndes. I call it ACE, the Adam Carter effect. And I'm anxious to see. Now, if you end up using that in some social media promotions, make sure you give me credit.
I will give you credit. There's no problem.
I think the Adam Carter effect is going to be tremendous there at Lowndes High. And I can't wait until we see the finished product on the field.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. He's one of the best in the business. He's a winner. And, he handles his business the correct way. So it is the Carter era, and we're excited and we're happy about it. And we're happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for calling in tonight, and we'll catch you soon.
All right. I appreciate it, Larry, and go Vikings.
Go Vikings. Thanks, Coach. Okay. Hey, there he was, Fred Mitchell, college recruiting coordinator there at Lowndes High School. Let me address a couple things that some of you have put here on the White Oak Investment comment line. First of all, I need to go ahead and thank my sponsors. Pepsi of Valdosta where is my background? I don't know what the heck is going on here. So let me get this back on here. Presented by Pepsi of Valdosta. They are great producers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy. And thank you so much to all the gang at Pepsi of Valdosta for being a title sponsor of the show. White Oak Investment. You've heard me refer to the White Oak Investment comment line where you guys like to drop these comments. We're happy to do that. And that's brought to you by Kyle Conger at White Oak Investment. We want to thank fellow heckler, Tim Neesmith, longtime friend and sponsor of the show. We appreciate everything you do, Stickman. Guys, if you want to make your house beautiful, one way to do that is to customize your shades and blinds. And Tim is the guy that can help you do that. He's got a company called A Shade of Perfection. where he specializes in customizing shades and blinds. Give him a call, 229-251-3479. And we want to thank Josh Batson and Justin Haskin at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, your South Georgia and North Florida's only certified headache medicine specialist. Guys, whether you suffer from back pain or migraine headaches, these cats right here, well, I should say these Vikings right here can help you overcome that. So the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, 229-333-9838. Call them and schedule your appointment today. And then finally, well, not finally, but we also want to thank AquaWorks Pool Company, Chandler Kudik, 229-415-0752. Listen, it's hot out there. You guys don't need me to remind you of that. It is blazing hot out there. If you don't have a pool yet, build one. You'll love it. If you do have a pool, you need someone to clean it for you. And this guy is one of the best in the business. He's a newer guy, but he really knows what he's doing. Former Lowndes graduate, Chandler Kudik, 229-415-0752. He's got my pool looking great. He can have yours great too. AquaWorks Pool Company. Thank you so much, Chandler, for sponsoring our program. And then finally, Tony Green and Trey Hatcher at Imperial Auto Sales. They've got a website. Check them out, imperialautosales.com. Or you can visit their two local locations, one on Ashley Street, one on Bay Tree Road. Whatever location you go to, you are going to be treated like the only person on that lot because you're that important to them. So if you have car needs, Imperial Auto Sales, Tony Green and Trey Hatcher. Thank you so much, guys, for sponsoring our program. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We appreciate you very much. Now, there was a couple of other comments that I really wanted to get to. Now, this knucklehead right here, I can't believe it. He says, Larry, you look 10 years younger. Are you wearing makeup? Now, Steve Nichols, I know you've been in the radio business for a long time. You've been, I think you've been doing a fine job with a video program that you've got there as well called Freedom with Steve Nichols. You may be accustomed to being under the bright lights and having to put on makeup and that kind of stuff, but we don't play that game here, homie. We just don't play that game here. No, I'm not wearing makeup. This is my natural youth shining through. So anyway. Now, what Steve is referring to is I do have a more youthful appearance on the program tonight. You notice that I don't have the wrinkles, the crow's feet around my eyes, the deep wrinkles that comes with age and wisdom, right? No, the truth is I've upgraded my software that I'm using for and they've got this AI feature, this artificial intelligence feature that touches up your appearance and makes you look literally 10 years younger. So I elected to turn on the feature. So I bill myself as a completely transparent guy. So I'm telling you guys, I'm not wearing makeup. It's all software driven. So there you go, Steve. Thank you so much for bringing that out into the open. I came out of the AI closet. How about that? Just kidding there. Just kidding. All right. So a couple other things here. Coach Trainer, he's got a question. He says, I was watching your other show, and the show that he's referring to is I do a national podcast with my counterpart up in New Jersey, a guy named Joe Mamone. He's the owner of Prep Gridiron Logistics, where he schedules big time marquee matchups between national programs, like maybe a Mater D or Mater Day. That's what they like to be called, versus like an IMG or something like that. So he's the one that arranges all those types of games. He is also the guy that put together last year's Georgia-Florida Challenge with Moultrie and Colquitt, or Colquitt and Lowndes, and this year's Georgia-Carolina Challenge, again with Lowndes and Colquitt. So he and I do a podcast, a video podcast that can be seen on YouTube. So this is what Coach Trainer is referring to, where we interview the most prominent head football coaches across the country. And we're actually going to be having yours truly on there. Adam Carter is going to be joining us on that national podcast because, you know, one of his goals is to turn Lowndes into a national brand. So anyway, Trainer was wondering, are you going to get the Christ School and Dutch Fork coaches on? You know, honestly, Trainer, I haven't really thought about that, but that's a great idea. So we'll try to reach out to those two head coaches, interview them for the program, and then post the links on the Viking Nation. Maybe even play clips of it all during this show. So yeah, I can commit to that. Let's see. All right, so Candace Marie, what are y'all talking about now? John Carroll says Botox. What in the world are you talking about? Wilbur Pelfrey says needs more of Phil Jones blush. I have no idea what you're talking about there, Wilbur. Candace Marie, not the filter. Yes, the filter. I did the filter. All right, so a couple of you have mentioned on here, and this is the elephant in the room. So I'm going to address this 2 or 3 minutes, and then because every time something controversial happens in our community, we have to address it. It's the elephant in the room. Whether it was the superintendent at Lowndes High School or Lowndes County Schools, or Zach Grage leaving the program last year, Jamie DuBose resigned, all these controversial things happened. You remember last year when Zach Grage was coming in as head coach, we had several players to quit. So this week, our backup quarterback, Brooks Best, left the team. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of that. Some of you want me to. Some of you don't. Listen, guys, I tell you guys all the time, the purpose of this show is to promote Lowndes athletics. That's it. Now, there are other venues that you can catch these details, or you can call the source themselves and ask them directly. Right. All I'm going to address tonight is it is true that Brooks Best has left the program. Now, if you want to talk to their family, I'm sure they're more than willing to talk to you about their details, right? But I will ask you this. I've known the Best family for a long, long time. Used to go to church with their family. They're a good family. And Brooks Best is a great kid. So why he left the program, what was his motivation? You'll just have to ask them. But I'm going to ask you, as a community, Brooks Best is still a kid in our community. And it's been our mission all along to promote all the kids in our community. Do you remember when Tate Snellgrove left our program and joined Valwood? What was the first thing that we did on this program? We wished him well. I have no ill will towards Tate Snellgrove because he's a great kid, comes from a good family. And we support our families in this community. We are the Viking Nation. We like to say one Lowndes all the time. So guys, whatever you may think, why it happened, why that happened, don't speculate. If you really want to know, call their family and they will tell you. So all I want to say about Brooks Best is recognize that he's a great kid. As long as I've known him to be a part of the Lowndes program, he has worked his tail off, just like all the other kids were asked to do, right? But I do know from talking to his family how hard, they let me know how hard Brooks worked, getting up and making the 6 a.m. workouts, spending extra time with quarterback coach. I think he had another session with Don Bailey, the offensive coordinator. So the dude has put in the work. So all I'm asking you to do is, Cole Moore put it this way, respect the kids, right? So let's not gossip about them. Let's not demean them. Certainly not attack their character. You know, in this day and age, I'm amazed that any kid wants to play football. I really am, because it is a rough sport. And nowadays you have to train year round. You just do. Now, Tim, I'm not saying that you're bashing Brooks. I'm just asking folks, because I have heard it this week. Some people question the motivation, that kind of stuff. And regardless of what the motivation are, let's just focus on what we can control. And as a fan base, we can control being the best absolute fans that we can be. Now, Brooks is a good kid. That's the way I'm going to leave this. I am called, because of I take my faith very, very seriously, and I'm called to be a peacemaker. And I've learned, you guys remember several years ago when I had a very, very public spat with former coach Randy McPherson, right? Because of the, I'm not going to go into the details of that situation, but because of the way I perceived that I was treated, I made it a very public spat. And a couple years later, I realized that I took the wrong approach. And it's taken me a while so I've matured in my faith along the way. And so, guys, we're just called to be peacemakers, right? Don't get me wrong. There's a time to fight. There really is. But I think our faith really calls us to go out of our ways, do everything possible within our control to be a peacemaker and a person of reconciliation. So that's all I'm going to say about that elephant in the room. I wish Brooks the very best, as well as the other players that have left the program. You guys know who they are. I wish them the very best. They all have great families. And when I see them around town, I'm going to shake their hands. I'm going to say hello to them. And I'm going to wish them the very, very best. So as far as I know, Brooks is going to finish out his high school career at Lowndes High School. And if I see him at a game on a Friday night with the other students in the Sioux section, I'm going to shake his hand, say, man, I love watching you play, and best of luck to you in your future endeavors. From what I understand, he wants to be an architect, and he's a smart kid. So I'm sure that he is going to be a great architect. So with that said, that's all. That's the only way I'm going to address that topic. So trainer says, let's see, if you can't LG, let Brooks and his parents know that players. Yeah. So I'll say this is a great comment from trainer. He says, if you can LG, I don't know if Brooks or his family's watching tonight, but it's a great comment. If you can LG, let Brooks and his parents know that the players seen the work he put in. Had a couple of players tell me today they noticed his growth as a player from last year to this year. What a great comment. It really is. Candace says, there's no need to talk about it. The program will always move on. No one person's brother. I don't think that's what I was addressing, Candace, because everybody's talking about it. I just wanted to acknowledge it and wish Brooks the very best. That was it. So anyway, let's see. It is 8:04. Let's see. Oh, one other guest that I had scheduled for the program tonight. It's completely my fault, but it was Jacob Speece and I believe Landon Bass as well. They were two former Lowndes golfers that had graduated this year, going off to play golf in college, and so they were scheduled to be on the program tonight. And when I talked to their parents, and I saw Jacob at church on Sunday, you know, we were talking about him being on the program tonight, and Jacob said, yeah, I'm going to be at the beach. And it did not register. When he said that, it did not register. It's like, they're at the beach. They're on vacation this week. So I talked to him about an hour before the program tonight. I said, hey, you going to come on? He says, yeah, but I'm on the beach. And I said, oh, that's right. You did tell me that. So we're scheduling his appearance for next Thursday night instead of when they're coming back home from vacation. So anyway, Shannon Best, Bruce's mom, says, thank you, Larry, for your comments. Shannon, of course. I love you, family. You, Patrick, have done a great job with your kids. Brooks is one of the best kids. Great stuff. So I wish him the very, very best. And listen, if he turns out to be a great quarterback, not quarterback, but a great architect, I hope he builds the biggest buildings in the world. That would be fantastic. So Molly Carter says, I can always be a fill-in guest, Larry. Molly, I am going to hold you to that, because Molly Carter, Mrs. Adam Carter, she is a former VSU. Were you Molly? I can't remember. Were you an athlete at Valdosta State? Were you part of the dance line? I can't remember what role you played at Valdosta State, but I would love to have you as a guest one night. That would be fantastic. Coach Trainer says, I know you posted it, but congratulations to you. Look, y'all have to help me out. And I should know this, but Ryan Page likes to pick on me for my lack of knowledge when it comes to Lowndes baseball, right? And how do you pronounce Cray's first name? Is it Cray or Quay? Cray or Quay? Or some other pronunciation? Because I want to make sure I get it right. Do these kids right? But so I feel bad that I don't know the exact pronunciation of his first name. Candace Marie says that would be good. Never had a coach's wife to come on. That's not true, Candace. We did have one other coach's wife on the program before. When Jamie DuBose was here, Tracy appeared on our program. Now it was it wasn't a live. It was a pre-recorded because of their work schedule and that kind of stuff. So we did pre-record that interview, and then when we went live, we played that recorded interview on the show. So that's what I mean by that. John Carroll says, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? John Carroll, what are you doing? John Carroll says, I bet her makeup is better than yours. Well, I would hope so. John. Y'all need to get off my case about my youthful appearance. I can't help it if it runs in the genes. I just can't. Okay, let me just say this. I can't help it if you guys are ugly. Did I just say that out loud? I can't help it if I have the software that makes me look pretty. Okay, now I'm getting carried away. I know, I'm getting carried away. Let's see. So none of you are going to let me, are going to correct me and let me and fill me in on how to pronounce his name, Cray or Quay. Which one is it? Cray, if you're watching the show tonight, Ryan Page, if you're watching the show tonight, send me a text, put it on the comment line. How do you pronounce the name correctly? Because if he turns out to be a superstar for the Baltimore Orioles, I am going to brag that I knew this kid, although I didn't know him very well. Since he's a Lowndes guy, we're going to adopt him. Now, speaking of me exaggerating, John Carroll says that's Mr. Lot to you. Tim Neeson says, is that Cray? The E is silent. Now I'm totally confused. I like John Carroll's suggestion. Just call him Mr. Lot. Now Tim's getting carried away. He says, who did your eyelashes? Now, my daughter makes fun of me, Tim, because she claims that since my eyebrows are, I cannot believe we're talking about my eyebrows, eyelashes, and youthful appearance on the Viking Nation Live. Y'all are crazy. So I just caught myself. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Tierra Battle says, I think it's like Cray, but I could be wrong. That's what I think too. But I keep hearing some people pronounce it Quay, and that's what led to my confusion. Tim Neesmith, he says he needs a little bit more color. Cole Moore. Now, Cole Moore, you're getting a little personal. Cole says he ate too much ramen. Now, that might be a true statement. Now, let me tell you a funny story. So I've been married. This coming October will be 30 years. Now, before you wisecrack, say it, yes to the same woman. Almost 30 years. This October will be 30 years. October, I better get this right. October 16th will be 30 years. Can you believe it? When my wife and I first got married, one of the, I think it was a Christmas gift. One of the first Christmas gifts she's given me was a cookbook, 101 ways to make ramen noodles. Did you know there was 101 ways to make ramen noodles? There is. And some of them are fantastic recipes. Listen, I may do another show one Thursday night when it's kind of slow and just may host it out at the grill pit, or I'm thinking about getting a griddle, Blackstone griddle as well, and have the show out towards the grill one particular night and show you guys my grilling and chef skills. I'm not going to brag, but I'm going to brag. I know that kind of sounded weird. All right. Travis Hart says, we need to get back on track and talk about Lowndes instead of LG's makeup. Here, Travis. Amen. Look at all these dudes. Listen, none of the ladies are talking about it. It's all dudes. Now, I'm starting to question you dudes because you guys are fascinated with his makeup stuff. I'm starting to question you guys. Cole Moore says, God bless your wife. She needs a medal. She absolutely does. Absolutely does. Because this time of year, she turns into a football widow. August, it becomes official. She turns into a football widow until about December. Now, that's kind of an exaggeration. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Greg Mattis says, still waiting on the pool party. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to the conversation for tonight. So we talked about a couple of our kids, Tate Sermons going to Ole Miss, and Craylott being drafted by the Baltimore Orioles. Man, I started the show by saying, what a great feeling it is for a kid like that, right? So he wins a state championship in high school, and just a few weeks later, he's drafted by the Baltimore Orioles. I know he's going to work hard. He's going to put everything he's got to it, and I hope to see that he gets drafted or called up, not drafted, but called up to the big leagues. And it'd be so cool to see. It would be cool to see Craylott now batting for the Baltimore Orioles, Craylott, as they take on the Atlanta Braves. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? All right, so I had a phone call today from a Valdosta fan. And the first question he asked me was, Larry, is it true what I heard about you? And it's like, oh, Lord, I have no idea. What did you hear about me? He says, man, I heard that you picked Valdosta to finish last in the region. I said, I got to try to remember, because I think in last week's show, we did talk about maybe future projections for the upcoming region. And that might be true. I got to go back and look at the tape. I think I put it as Lowndes first, Colquitt second. I either put Camden third or Valdosta third. I cannot remember, but it could be true. It could be true. Now, do I have anything to base that on? Absolutely not. You got to be out of your mind to claim that this is going to happen this early in the season. We're still in July. We have no idea what these teams and regions are capable of. You know, when Phil Jones called in a couple of weeks ago and started talking about the Camden County Wildcats, he was basing his opinion. I think he was saying that Camden was going to be number 2. And he was basing that opinion based on his conversations that he's had with their head coach, Jeff Herron. So everything, whether it's Phil, Larry Godwin, other sports guys out there, even you guys, part of the audience, we're all guessing when it comes to this time of year. Are you crazy? Nobody can be taken seriously this time of year. Cole Moore says, nobody understands Camden. Cole, no truer words have been spoken because they're so far away. It's very difficult, but they probably like it that way. It's very difficult to keep tabs on the Camden County Wildcats. So we have people like Mary Alex Anders in our neck of the woods that hangs out with the Colquitt County Packers, so she can, we know her. We can reach out to her. She tells us exactly what she thinks is going to happen over there based on what she's observed. We don't really know anybody over in Camden. It's such a small town. I don't really know if they even have a sports reporter. They could. I just don't know. So it's very difficult, because I have made inquiries before. Some friends of mine that are across say, hey, do you know anyone that's a football super fan over in Camden County that would be willing to come on to the show? And it's very difficult to find someone like that. I wish I could. I wish I could do that for every program, to find at least one or two super fans that would come onto the show and give us weekly, if not bi-weekly, updates on what's happening with their program and in the region. Now, Cole, you've already worn out your welcome. That's it. You're done. Cole says Colquitt wins the region. Cole, if you were on the screen right now, I'd put you in the penalty box. No, I'm kidding. No, Cole, you share that's probably a very high opinion. A lot of people are expecting Colquitt County to be the number 1 seed in the region. So as a Lions fan, that kind of hurts your heart. Right. Wilbur Pelfrey puts it very succinctly. He says, Cole Moore, man, you're going out on that limb. But here's the thing, Wilbur. It's a pretty thick limb when you're talking about Colquitt, just because that is the smart bet. That's the smart money right now, right? Because we know what Colquitt's got coming back, and we know how good they were last year. So most of that talent is returning, and they're a year older, year more experienced. They're going to have another year under their new head coach over there, Sean Calhoun. So yeah, that's the money's bet. It makes sense to put your money on Colquitt to win the region. Now, I think Lowndes, I think Valdosta and Camden, certainly. I don't think Richmond Hill has a shot, but I could be wrong. Richmond Hill's another team that's way on out that we really don't know what to expect. We just know that these four teams that we love over here, we kind of know year in and year out what to expect, but we don't know anything about Richmond Hill. Let Colquitt have their fun this year. It'll be their last year at the top, at the top for a while. That's what Trainer says. Trainer, you may be right. I think if I'm not mistaken, Colquitt needs to do something this year because I think aren't they graduating a lot of their talent as far as their skill players goes? And you look across the board, they got a lot of skill talent. They really do. And I think a lot of those guys are graduating and moving on. So next year they may be having to either rebuild or reload. You pick your term that you want to use. So next year they're going to have some holes to fill. Like Lowndes had some holes to fill last year, and you saw that we took it on the chin. Greg Maddox, you're right. He says any team can beat any team on any given night. Well, yeah. I mean, that is true. Is it likely? Well, that remains to be seen. Wilbur Pelfrey says, Wilbur likes the underdog role. He says, I love that Lowndes is not even ranked in the top 20 in the state. Listen, I hate being ranked highly in the preseason polls because I think it puts a target on your back really, really early. It gives your kids a big head mentality, if you will. That's old school terminology, right? The big head mentality. I think you fly under the radar and you catch people by surprise. That's the way I would prefer to handle it. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, one thing that I asked Fred about that I forgot to ask him live on air was the use of the indoor facility, because I was very, very honest about this when I brought it up, because we started talking about the heat. And he says, this is his first season down here. And I was kind of surprised that he said that. He says, man, the heat down here is no joke. And I asked him about his time up in Grace, and he says, yeah, it's hot up in Loganville where the team's based. But down here, it's a different heat. And listen, we believe that, right? So we started talking about that. And then the conversation drifted to the IPF. And I said, listen, honestly, that was my number one concern when I knew that we were going to commit to building that indoor facility. Because one of the advantages that Southern teams have had over the years is the conditioning in the heat, especially early in the season, because it really does help with your conditioning. So now you have this indoor facility. And so I was concerned. I told Fred this. My biggest concern about that IPF was, is it going to hurt our conditioning? And he told me no. He says, man, they've got a great schedule when they use it, when they go out, and the vast majority of the time they're outside. They do some inside work, but he has no worries about conditioning at all because of the IPF. And that was good to hear. It's very reassuring, very reassuring. But as you heard, Fred is very, very good at giving interviews, right? So I can't wait to see the product on the field. Absolutely. Josh Hill says, well, Josh, you're exactly right. Josh says it's tough to try to watch practice in the indoor. Well, you're exactly right. Now, I will say this. Coach Carter makes no bones about it. He has basically closed off practices to the public. Now, if you're parent, you can probably get in. But he has, for the most part, closed off practices to the public. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. That's just some coaches have that preference. Some don't. Some don't care. When Jamie DuBose was here, he didn't care. He opened it to everybody. I remember that one time there was a whole line of Valdosta, either Valdosta fans or players up in the stands watching practice, and Jamie DuBose didn't care, but other coaches do, and Fred Carter makes no balls about it. He closes off his practices. Candace Marie, she is a player's parent, and she confirms it. She says, nope, no parents. So it is a closed practice. So Candace says, she loves closed practice. Let them work and keep them guessing. Some people like that. Some don't. I'm not here to promote one side or the other. I'm just stating a fact, right? Now, I do think that I did talk to Coach Carter and asked him about that early on. Was he going to close his practices, keep them open? And at that time, when I talked to him when he first got here, he was kind of undecided. I think it's what he relayed to me. But now it says that. But now it looks like that he's made up his mind. He's going to close practice. I don't have a problem with that. As long as you win, I don't have a problem with that. So parents can't get in either. That's what Coach Trainer says. Yes. So guys, we're wrapping it up now. The one practice that is open to the public, I believe, still is the Georgia Bridgman. And some of you guys aren't band people until it's time to watch the Georgia Bridgman on a Friday night at halftime or the pregame show. But many of you are Georgia Bridgman fans because you're either former Bridgman parents or you have current kids in the band and you love to go out there and watch. And so camp, I think it's starting next week for the entire band. I think it's the rookies this week. They call them Bridgies. So those practices, I believe. Now, if Chris Bisher, the president of the booster club for the band, is watching, or maybe John Bowman, director of bands, is watching tonight, shoot me a text and let me know. I think that's right. I think band, is it next week that it starts? And I think it's still open to the public. So there you go. John Carroll says the Bridgmen need to play more. John, what do you mean by that? Do you mean while they're in the stands, then they need to play more tunes while they're in the stands? I think I agree with you, because right now what's been happening over the last several years because of the PA system that we have and the video board and the advertising on the video board, that kind of stuff. I think you're right. During the game, I would love to hear the Bridgman more, and I would love to hear a variety of tunes that's just me as a personal fan, right? So whatever the Bridgmen do, I'm going to love it, but that's just my preference. John Carroll says pregame and in the stands. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to see some variety during. Now, this is me. This is me putting on, if Larry could redesign everything and if I could have my way 100% of the time, this is what I would do. I would love to see some variety during the pregame show, but I understand. You got a very short amount of time. You got a show to put on. You got 400 plus kids that you're trying to get synchronized, working together, and you just don't have time to do all this other stuff that fans want. You got to do what you can do, right? Candace says, yes, Bridgman play more and more different music. Yeah, I would love to see that too, but I just don't know what time constraints that they have to put in to address all that. So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up our show for tonight. I definitely like a new playlist. Now, Trainer, you and I are usually on the same page, but this one I can't agree with you. He says, I definitely like a newer playlist. I would love this to hear a more variety of songs from the stands as well. But I, for one, don't like the HBCU band styles. I don't like the high step. And that's just me, because that's just not my background. My kids were in a traditional band. I just like traditional marching bands. Now, other folks love the HBCU style of marching and the high stepping and what the drum majors with the large hats and the batons, and they're stepping onto the field, that kind of stuff. Some people love that kind of stuff. That's just not my cup of tea. So I can't agree with you there, but other people may. Bridgman alumni here. We played a lot with no issues under time. Now, Candace, I never knew this about you. Were you a Georgia Bridgman? I didn't know that. That's fantastic. John Carroll says back in the day, they used to play pregame to get the fans worked. Yeah, John, that's what I'm talking about. Instead of a pregame set like you do week in and week out, have like a almost like a little mini pep rally, if you will, just to get the fans pumped up. Candace says, we don't need to have a HBCU style. Todd was Cookman alumni, yet we played a variety. Yeah, there we go. Timmy needs. Tim, I'll call you afterwards. Yeah, he shoot me a text. So sharing some thoughts with me. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Next week, we're going to have another shoot. I had this written down, but dadgummit, where did it go? I cannot remember. Oh, yeah. So next week, we are going to have Coach Reese joining us on the program next week. And we'll talk to him about his background, where it came from, what his position group is, what his focus is, how those kids look, and get even closer to the season. So, guys, that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a loyal Viking fan. Let's support all the kids in our community, love on all these families, and let's just be great people, right? Let's just be great people. So anyway, Molly says, bye, Larry. Thanks for carrying of Lowndes. Go Vikings. Absolutely. With that said, may God bless you guys. Have a great week and go Vikings.